All right, so we are going to make my favorite meal of all time, which is vegan pad thai. It is House of Tsang Bangkok dipping sauce. It says that it's a dipping sauce, but I use it as a pad thai sauce. I was first introduced to this sauce like 30 years ago by my brother, and I am now in his kitchen cooking it for you. So this is not my beautiful kitchen, it's his. So yes, this recipe, you have to use this sauce. If you use a different sauce, it won't taste as good. I've tried all the other sauces. This is what makes it taste so good. Then you want rice noodles. I use brown rice noodles. Regular rice noodles are good too. We want organic tofu. Soybeans are one of the most pesticide-ridden fruits, vegetables. So you want it to be organic, not pesticide tofu, organic tofu. Green onions, carrots, and green pepper, and then we're gonna put cilantro on top. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the tofu and cut it up into a bunch of little pieces and just put it in the stir fry pan. The nice thing about these containers is that you can literally cut it while it's inside of the container and then just plop it into the pan, which is what I always do. All right. And then you might want to go one more time across. And I want the tofu to be a little crispier than the vegetables on the outside, so I'm going to get this cooking while we're cutting up the vegetables. And then we will add the vegetables. Okay, and one thing I did not get out is the sesame oil. Forgot to mention the sesame oil, so. We're going to do a fair amount of sesame oil there. Make sure it's all nice and coated in sesame oil. All right. And the knife. Okay, so for the green onions, we are going to just cut off all of the ends and then pick off any like kind of dead ends there. I also take off the ends on the other end as well, just a little bit, just so it's nice and like as fresh as possible. And then the thicker parts, I'm gonna slice them down the middle. I'm losing them here. All right, now I'm going to take half of the green onions and put them in now. And then we're going to save the other half to where when it's almost done, we put it in, because we don't want them to be, you know, kind of like mushy and flavorless. We want to have that flavor be nice and fresh in regards to the green onions. All right, but we want some of the onion flavor to cook in there. All right. The next thing we're going to put in here is the carrots, because they take the longest to cook. All right, so we are going to cut off the ends of the carrots. Sometimes I shred the carrots, but this is not my kitchen and I can't find a shredder. So we are going to cut it this way this time. I've done it this way before. This will also be good. It's just the carrots will be a little thicker. Okay. Right now I have 3. We may do more. Oh my gosh, I got something in my eye. I think it's the green onion. I think the green onion is like really getting me. Oh my goodness. Normally green onion doesn't affect me, but whew, making my eyes tear up. Holy moly. All right, and now we are going to chop the pepper. Sometimes with peppers, there's seeds all over and you have to like take it to the sink to rinse the seeds, but this one, not so much, which is nice. All right, peppers are done. Boop. Great, great, great. Now we're gonna chop up some cilantro so that we have the cilantro ready to garnish on top. It's not just pretty, it really adds kind of a very particular kick or taste to it. I know some people don't like cilantro and some people think it tastes like soap, but for those of you that like cilantro, add cilantro. It's gonna make a big difference in the way it tastes. So add cilantro on top. All right, so there's our yummy cilantro. All nice and ready to go on top. Okay, and now you can see kind of how it's cooking up here. See how the tofu's getting a little brown and kind of crispy. So the way I get the tofu brown and crispy is you put the setting where it's on medium. Whoops, dropped some in there. Put the setting on medium and let it just kind of sit for a while. You know, like while we were chopping, it was sitting, and that's how it was getting that kind of brownish, getting a little browned. All right, now we're gonna add some water. Okay. Let that go for a bit. So now we're boiling the water for the noodles. So I am going to put the entire thing of noodles in there. And this is good for about 4 servings. So I make it and then just separate it into servings in the fridge so that I have more for later. We'll do another stir. See, the tofu's getting nice and see that? Getting nice and browned, which is great. And we're going to continue to let the vegetables cook all the way until the noodles are done. Okay. Then you want to, I keep making a mess. You want to flip it enough times that the tofu doesn't burn, but not so often that it doesn't get browned. So just kind of that happy medium in there for how often you do it. Okay. And I'm going to just kind of stir the noodles, make sure they're getting separated. Okay. Now I'm going to open the sauce and I'm gonna put a little bit in. I'm gonna do like a quarter now, a quarter in a little bit, and then the last half at the very end. So we're gonna do a quarter now. It might be more like a half. Yeah. So the nice thing about this meal is I use an entire jar of this, an entire package of this, an entire thing of tofu, and it makes a perfect 4 servings. So you can either do it for a family or you can do like I do, and when you cook it, you know, put a serving in the fridge, put a couple servings in the freezer, and you're good to go for a little bit. All right, there we go. That way the sauce will cook into it a little bit. But we don't want to do it all at once, because if it cooks into it, then you won't have that kind of saucy texture by adding some of it at the end, which is what makes it so good. So the reason I like this sauce so much is it's a little bit spicy. If you don't like spicy, probably not for you. But other sauces are like too sweet. They're either too sweet or too peanutty. And this one's got that like perfect mix of spicy, sweet, and savory. It's really good. It's so good. Okay. All right, so we're gonna just let it all cook for a minute. All right, if you want an idea of how it looks, this is how it looks as we're going. Yum, yum. All right, so the noodles are boiling. They've been boiling now for a minute or two, so we're gonna let it just boil for another second. Do a nice turnover of the vegetables here. And then we're gonna rinse the noodles and then put the noodles in with the vegetables. Make sure there's nothing sticking on the bottom. All right. So I'm gonna take my strainer here, put it in the sink. Take the noodles, turn it off, bring it over to the sink. Give a little rinse to the noodles. A little shake. And now we're gonna just pour it right on top of all of the vegetables and tofu. And we are now gonna add the last bit of sauce right on top of those noodles. And then we're gonna add the last bit of green onions that we've kept. And the reason we kept out some of the green onions is because we want a little bit of that crispy crunch from some of them to be in there. All right. And I have my fork from when I was like stirring the noodles, and I'm just gonna use that to help mix everything in. And that's one of the reasons that I add half the sauce at the end, is because it helps to mix everything with the noodles so the noodles don't stick together. All of the vegetables mix in nicely. Yeah, we'll just keep stirring it all in, keep kind of folding it in. Okay. Now I have turned the heat down significantly for this last portion. We're gonna let it just kind of on low simmer for like another minute or two, and then it's ready to go on our plate. So I'm gonna take a fork and a spoon and just start dishing it up. This is the best part, right? Because now we get to eat it. This truly is my favorite meal, so I hope you guys will try it. It's so good. So good. I made it for my niece and she asked me to make it a ton of times afterwards, which I don't know why my brother hasn't made it for my niece since he's the one that introduced me to it, but maybe it's like a long forgotten recipe for him, but just really stuck in my mind after I tried it because it's just so good. There is our vegan pad thai. You don't have to make it vegan, but I highly recommend making it vegan because it's super yummy. I hope you'll make it and enjoy.